Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 2, Day 1 of the Mythic League. Fat Pikachu coming up against Scaling Copium. I'm your host, Zane Zen Nelson, and joining me on the desk today, I have Wash, Bill the Pony. How's it hanging, brother?
Doing pretty good. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be an exciting match, an exciting second week of Mythic. You know, we've just got a taste of what these teams can bring to the table, and now we're sort of seeing the whole league develop and see where people end up. Fat Pikachu starting off the season 0-2, but looking to turn things around here.
Yeah, they were very highly anticipated in the power rankings. Ranked number 1, they have dropped very far down the list, and I think that they've got a chip on their shoulder and want to prove otherwise.
Yeah, well, getting into the bans right away, Fat Pikachu going to go ahead and take away the Fiora away from Friendly Voidling, a character that we haven't seen. It has started to pick up some popularity in the Mythic League, which is cool to see. Meanwhile, Scaling Copium looks like to be attacking Doyon's jungle pool. Both Kane and Hecarim banned away. Very powerful characters for that player.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the new patch that they're playing on that they weren't playing on last week, and really made changes here to Hecarim. And he's been very popular in the heroic games that were played on the new patch at the end of last week. And so no surprise here, both with them having the familiarity with the champ as well as the new buffs to him getting banned away here.
Scaling Copium, my heart. Ivern picked up Mythic debut, if I'm not mistaken. I am so excited to see where this goes. Ivern is one of those characters that is near and dear to my heart. I love the idea that there are champions that change the role that you're playing. You know, you can play an enchanter in the jungle and you can make that work. Also going to be paired with that Misfortune, going to be very powerful. Meanwhile, Fat Pikachu looking pretty comfortable. This is something that they showed in their last week games. Doyon on the Diana, extremely strong, and locking in Kog'Maw Lulu, powerful combination for that bottom side.
Oh boy, they're going to be pretty dangerous if this game is allowed to go on long enough. It's a very, very strong late game composition coming out of the bot lane. So we'll see here if this Ivern can put some pressure on the bot lane to try and help get this Misfortune ahead. We'll have to see what they come out with the support. I expect it to be something to help accelerate the lane.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
My apologies. I was just mentioning that the Olaf comes off the board here. It's recently has been played in the top lane quite a bit, so showing it this early is a little surprising to me, unless they're doing something tricky with like Ivern's support or something ridiculous like that.
I mean, we did see a while back Ivern mid get to some popularity, like leading up into last year's World Championships a little bit. But yeah, this is a character that Friendly Voidling has been slamming and has about a 60% win rate in solo queues. So I think that what Scaling Copium wants to do is they just want to slam comfort in the top side and even take away some of those matchups that are maybe a little bit scarier, throwing bans at the Mordekaiser and Olaf to try and make sure that Olaf will be able to run over this game. Fat Pikachu, meanwhile, I think that this is smart. They're banning away some of Street Smurfs champions, the Anivia and the Talia getting locked away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that with Diana wanting to go in, they could definitely get separated from the somewhat immobile backline of Kog'Maw Lulu with the control, the AoE control that you get out of Anivia and Talia, splitting up the fight, creating chaos, and breaking off their front line potentially. We have the Amumu coming in here. I expect that's the Amumu support, pairs very well with the Misfortune and has a lot of early pressure.
Yeah, so now my eyes are immediately drawn as we finish out this draft to this bottom lane, because it feels to me that Warplaque has issued a challenge with that Amumu lock-in, right? They're saying we are going to be strong enough laners that we can shut down Kog'Maw Lulu, that we can land the CC and try to take them out. Meanwhile, Fat Pikachu gonna lock in the Pantheon for top side. This is going to be a very volatile top side of the map. Another champion that Stormbless is quite comfortable on, and the Orianna makes it all the way through the draft for the first time. We get to see Sundubu's Ori, and I cannot wait to see what he can pull off.
Yeah, absolutely. Paired with that Diana, that is a ball delivery system into their team, and they don't, they're looking pretty short range as well on the scaling copium side. So the addition of Zoe helps with that somewhat, but they're definitely susceptible to getting smashed with that AoE combo, the Diana and the Orianna for sure. Just trying to get into position to fight the backline of Fat Pikachu here. The other thing to point out is the bot lane for scaling copium, point distribution wise, is heavily favored towards their bot lane. So again, with this early pressure, Amumu and Misfortune going up against the scaling on the other side, all the more reason to put that early emphasis on the bot lane for scaling copium to try and get their higher ranked players ahead early.
Yeah, I definitely think that when you look across these teams, Doyon has been like the hero player for Fat Pikachu, has had some incredible smart decision making, and going up against a very experienced bottom lane in Mr. Thugsmoke and Warplaque, I think is going to be quite interesting. I'm also very excited about the Zoe pick rounding out the draft for Smeet Smurf. This is a character that is near and dear to my heart as a Zoe player, but also has some interesting interactions in this game. Zoe can be incredibly strong if you're given the opportunity to set up and siege a location. However, Zoe is incredibly bad if your opponent is running into you, because you lose the distance on the paddle star to actually do any damage. And Fat Pikachu has drafted all in all the time. So I think that Street Surf work is going to be cut out for them, and I cannot wait to see what sort of battle happens out on this Rift.
Absolutely. I think the top lane matchup would be interesting to look at. I am not very familiar with this Pantheon in the top lane against an Olaf matchup. I think, Olaf is going to be trying to poke with his axes, and alternatively, Pantheon's going to be trading back with his spears. So the all-in, I think, favors the Olaf, but we'll have to see how that one goes. And here we are in the Rift.
Yeah. Now, we're going to see here if any teams want to do anything a little bit interesting. It looks like Scaling Copium is going for a bit of a warding strategy, so they're going to walk in here. They do have 2 stuns, or 2 roots with both the Amumu and the Ivern, so their level 1 is actually quite strong. They're going to get spotted out by this ward, but are still going to commit. They want to know exactly where Doyon is starting.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the runes that they started with here. And I'm looking to see if there's anything that stands out here that kind of might give away some of their strategy here. But I think it's mostly the basic runes here. We got Aerie on both of the support-like champions with Orianna and Lulu trading in here. They get that pressure and that they get that vision. And on the other side, the blue team is getting their counter ward on the bot side. So both of them know about equivalent information about each other and their starting positions.
Yeah, of note, however, the blue team did expend 3 wards. So looking forward, Ivern is a character that can have very versatile pathing, and it does look like Bloon21 going to start on the bottom side of the map. I'm curious if using up multiple wards in that top side is going to cost the top half of the map, but we'll have to see as these lanes just get started.
Yeah, we see that we got the Dorn sword up in that top lane again versus the long sword. I haven't seen many long sword starts since AD carries were doing it very popularly to accelerate their mythic. I'm a little surprised to be seeing that in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, the refillable gives you additional sustain at the very beginning stages of the lane where that health can be more valuable, but obviously the Doran's Blade is going to give you better stats the longer the game goes. So level 2 just going to be hit here. on the bot side of the map. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything too crazy just yet. And both teams just sort of getting settled and getting started.
Yeah, the threat of the Amumu level 1 is particularly strong if the wave is positioned in the right place. They kind of overpushed it, I think, a little bit there in order to make sure that they got the level 2 advantage. And because of that, we're not in a position where Amumu really had threat without being in danger of getting hit by the turret.
Yeah, Street Smurf. Having a little bit of trouble. One of those issues with Zoe is, of course, it's very difficult to get damage through the minion waves. So Zoe likes to shove out as quick as possible to try and get their opponent under turret, which is what you see right there. But Sendubu doing a great job on this Orianna, a character that has been banned in both of their games last week. So I'm very excited to see what this character can do, because Sendubu has a very high win rate and a lot of games played on this character. So this should be some good mastery.
Did you see Amumu's going up there in the top lane already? Sneaking up there with Ivern covering the misfortune in the bot lane while at the same time.
Yeah, this is a tricksy move from Warplaque, not something that you see often. But this is one of the advantages of the Mythic League. You start to see teams become more and more coordinated and go for unorthodox plays to try and catch people off guard. This wave is pushing back, and Stormblast has no reason to suspect that this is happening outside the fact that Snugflick is here. Is going to get revealed though, and just going to have to walk on out. Ivern now here as well on the top side. Doyan going to help clear this. Stun gonna land on a Friendly Voidling, taken very low. Stormblast, though, gonna give up first blood. Bloon21 is also here to keep the health alive, and a double kill for Friendly Voidling. The Gambit pays off.
Yeah, I was wondering if Amumu was just wasting too much time up there in the top lane, but ultimately the bot lane Lulu Kog'Maw is not going to have kill threat on this misfortune this early in the game. And so being they aren't really it's not very a punishable move on the side of sorry, I'm mixing up my team's Copium over here. It's not really that they're not sacrificing a lot for it other than the Amumu power spike of hitting level 6 faster, but I do think he soaked up quite a bit of XP sitting up there in the top lane, so it might not put him behind that far.
Yeah, and this is absolutely massive. Because in addition to getting 2 kills on Olaf in an already volatile lane, right? These two characters between Olaf and Pantheon, we tend to think of them as early game characters who, really need to get ahead. We've got the person ahead. Also, Stormblast taking the Ignite into the top lane was unable to teleport to the wave, and now the wave is shoving out against him a second time. So, is going to really start to struggle and feel the heat. Ninja Tabi's already completed. Excuse me, not Ninja Tabis, whatever they call them these days. But built on Friendly Voidling, making him extremely strong here.
Absolutely. I think they're called stone-plated something or other, or iron-plated something. Steel caps, there you go. Yeah. This is an amateur casting if you've ever seen one, but you know what? We're here to have a good time, and we're enjoying the new... I apologize. These unique strategies that are coming out of Copium.
Yeah. Doyan, though, making a repeat visit, knows that Friendly Voiding Grab doesn't have the flash, but Doyan doesn't really have crowd control on that Diana, so only going to be able to chunk out just a little bit and then help shove the wave. Not the kind of gank that you would like to see. However, Doyan, thanks to the pathing and the extra... clear speed has built a slight edge over Bloon21, but still unable to swing the meter in that top side.
Yeah, despite Pantheon not having that teleport like you mentioned, he's actually still up in CS, so he's doing a pretty good job of keeping his last hits clean, despite the pressure that he's getting from this Olaf with 2 kills.
Warplaque gonna try and hold this. Actually gonna go in for the play. Stun lands onto Renee. Now the E comes through. That's gonna be a slowed up and completely shut down Lulu. You cannot get away from the crowd control. Street Smurf here as well, just to secure the play. Great movement from scaling Copium. It seems like they're just in full control of this match.
Yeah, I was a little nervous with how big that wave was that they were walking through, but they were just able to walk right past it, drop the aggro, and keep chasing down trash. So, or actually, sorry, that was Rini that got taken out down there. So, very good job, very well coordinated, recognizing that the jungler was right behind him.
This will allow Doyon to clean up the top half of the map, which will set Bloon a little bit behind in terms of that 1v1 matchup, but you know, you're very happy to take that. Any moment that you can take to set behind a Lulu Kog'Maw lane is one that you are happy to go for. And look at this! Warplaque is moving up to the top side again!
Yeah, he's only level 4. We've got our misfortune hitting that level 6 power spike at this point. So he's not too worried about getting that wombo of the Amumu ult. We got some action here.
Ultimate lands from Orianna. Will it slow Street Smurf down enough? Doyon not going to press the go-ahead button, knows that Street Smurf still has access to that flash. This has been a volatile... This has quietly been a pretty volatile mid lane. I don't know if you noticed, but Sundubu has already burnt the cleanse in this lane already, and both laners are sitting at about half health, just duking it out. They are really battling for control of this mid lane. It's not been a story that we've talked about in this match, because there's been so much excitement elsewhere, but, you know, this battle will only get scarier in that lane.
Absolutely. As they start to get these other ults coming in and unlocking, Diana's going to have a much more powerful gank.
Voidling, I'm not sure you want this!
Oh
Shutdown
boy.
for Stormbless. Trying to use that extra attack speed from, you know, the Olaf passive, but it's not enough. And, you know, we talked about that top lane being volatile, and there it is. But look at this. Warplaque sitting on the blast cone. Gonna hop over the wall. Blue 21 here as well. Stun gonna land onto Renee again. Flash is available, but it's not enough! The follow-up with the bandage, and another kill picked up for the side of Scaling Copium.
Yeah, it's really hard. The wave state, they're trying to get it pushed in at that point in time, and then she, you know, Rini doesn't feel safe, and so she goes out toward the river. And unfortunately, you know, when you're not feeling safe, that might not be a good time to be in the river. And sure enough, she gets punished for it.
Yeah, this will allow Scaling Pokemon to take advantage of the numbers and go ahead and pick up their first dragon of the game. And I have to say, one thing that's impressing me about this team so far is how they are coordinating their ganks around lane states, right? That's three times that we've seen where a wave is shoving into them as the jungler shows up, and it makes it incredibly difficult for the side of Fat Pikachu to be able to respond. Friendly Voidling gonna sniff out this take here. Actually just gonna go directly onto Doyon. Ultimate's gonna come through. Is it gonna be enough? The shield is just enough to keep it alive. But my goodness, Doyon was in for a world of hurt there.
Yeah, I think she stayed alive using her smite, so they may actually be able to contest this pretty easily without the smite. Oh, she had her second stack, it looks like.
Alright, so they are going to be able to secure the Rift Herald and get on out of there. So objectives traded at the end of the day, and a slight edging back of the gold for Fat Pikachu, but still anyone's games at this point. I mean, you can see both teams sort of trying to execute where they can on the map. Doyon making very smart choices about where and when he can be places on the map.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little hard when you feel like things are going against you, and already Copium had a 1k gold lead, but Fat Pikachu recognizes that you know, they are scaling, they are meant to probably get behind a little bit here at the beginning of the game, and have taken careful fights to now close that gold lead. So now we're at, you know, pretty much even in gold. The advantage that they had in the top lane is pretty much gone at this point. Looks like Stormblast just got his Mythic already completed. So it's not looking as good for Copium here, with only one dragon and looking to try and get early advantage in this game.
Yeah, and despite what the name might tell you, Scaling Copium is actually the team on the timer here, right? They're competing against Cog Lulu, one of the most preeminent, best scaling pairs of characters that exists in League of Legends. So, you know, they're really looking to get stuff done in these early stages. And although that they've eked out a slight lead with about a 400 gold difference, you know, they would like to see more within that first 20-minute mark, or else they're going to start to fall behind.
Yeah, I don't think there's even been all that much pressure on the turrets either to get them down. There's very little damage on the bot lane turret. Mid, despite all their trading, has only taken one plate off here. So, in terms of trying to push some of these advantages on the other sides of the map with Amumu running around all over the map, they're not really getting significant pressure or damage down on some of those objectives.
Yeah, Doyan, considering a gank up towards the top side, I think just gets barely spotted out. But look at this flash under the turret. Curse the Sad Bellop time almost obliterates the bottom lane. That's gonna do it now. Friendly Voidling also up on the top side, gonna be taken down on the cross map play. But once again, Scaling Copium just seemed to know how to pull that trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. There was no hesitation there in the bot lane. They knew they had four. Even if the jungler was nearby, they knew exactly where Orianna was, and they knew that they could take that fight. And that's why MF and Amumu are such a strong lane together.
Yeah, and Street Smurf has been on point with these abilities. Ignite gonna go down. Will this be enough? Flash is available, and the Ignite will tick through. Solo Bolo for Street Smurf. The hard work paying off in that lane.
Yeah, you mentioned the cleanse being burned earlier, and so he's keeping the pressure on there to take advantage of that. And sure enough, was able to get the easy long distance ability that slamming that damage because he wasn't able to cleanse the sleep.
Oh, man. Oh, it lands through the
No.
minions! War Plaque! Oh my goodness, they're having an incredible game. Even has the Zanyas. Mistimes it slightly, so will trade 1-for-1. But you can tell that this bottom side is feeling themselves. They are on top of their game today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times you're looking at the MF and Amumu being particularly strong when they have both of their ults. So they maybe felt a little bit safer there knowing that those ults were on cooldown. But when Kog'Maw's alone, he is not very safe. And so just the bandage grab was enough with the Kraken Slayer already completed for Misfortune to be able to take him down.
Yeah, Voidling forced to burn the ultimate, might just die here as well. Sundubu taken very low, actually wins the 2v1 temporarily, will go down, but trading 1-for-1 when the dragon is just about to spawn is huge.
Yeah, ultimately that takes that pressure off of the teleport. It spawned already, so 20 seconds until Olaf can teleport here. But instead of taking that advantage down towards the dragon, Stormbless headed back to top lane because the wave was coming in.
Smoke is so strong right now, chucking
Oh
people off
no,
1v2, and oh dear, oh no.
there's nothing they can do there.
Yeah, Scaling Copium has just looked like absolute monsters in this bottom half of the map. You know, I like what Fat Pikachu is doing to try and mitigate that, play towards top side, try to get friendly Voidling behind, but ultimately it just feels time and time again they're down here and picking up kills left and right.
Yeah, I think the difficulty here is that so much of their gold, they have 3 kills on Stormbless. I believe he got the first turret as well, because I think they recently took the bot turret down there. So he got a lot of gold out of that first turret in the top lane. And when he's sitting top lane with Ignite and no teleport, I mean, he has his ult, but that can only get him so far.
Yeah, Sleep gonna land from Street Smurf, but not willing to commit more. They don't quite know where Rini is, so gonna go ahead and pass that off. But, I mean, if you are a Scaling Copium fan, this is exactly what you want to see. 302 on the Zoe. You have enough tankiness on Warplaque to, like, actually go in. And look at this vision control. It's so scary for Fat Pikachu to even attempt to walk past the river here.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought they spotted Lulu there. They didn't go for the bandage grab. They don't have a lot of vision, I don't think, further into the jungle. So it might have been that they didn't know who was behind the Lulu.
Oh my goodness. Look at that damage from Mr. Thug Smoke. Absolutely clapping Lulu. And Doyan, again, just barely able to get out of there. Now here comes the Hextech Gate. Street Smurf trying to find somebody, but not going to. But my goodness, action everywhere.
It looks like they're rotating to get pressure. Maybe take this mid turret here. But yeah, it's really hard to be an enchanter against, a team like this.
You're not safe, Blackpink. You can't be there all by yourself. Ultimate gonna come through. The chase is on. Sundubu does have the Orion ultimate. Here comes Doyon from Backtown. The huge three-man ultimate. The flash over the wall to secure the kill into Friendly Voidling. He's taken down very low, trying to get what he can. Might not. No! Does not secure the kill. And 4 kills picked up in a turnaround play for FP.
Oh no, that was disastrous. They're trying to push this aggressive lead, their aggressive pressure, but they all grouped up, got hit by that Diana ultimate, and in a game where you're trying to scale here, they're going to be marching down mid lane. The gold is even for now. I mean, this is exactly what Copium, the team that is not scaling despite their names, is not wanting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and credit to the members of Fat Pikachu. They weathered the early game storm, right? This was looking like a tough and almost unbeatable position, if I'm being honest. But they see the opportunity and they take it and immediately turn things around up to a 1,000 gold lead.
Yeah, one of the biggest difficulties for MF is potentially getting flanked in the team fight. Wow. As I was saying, is getting flanked in the team fight. So this really strong Pantheon being able to ult back behind your MF is actually pretty scary, despite how strong MF is at this point in time, because she really needs that front-to-back fight. And the only unfortunate thing here is that still most of this gold is not on the Kog'Maw, so they still have a lot of time.
Yeah, and speaking of Kog'Maw, poor Blackpink, man. He's not having a good game. 1-5-3. You're just trying to pick up some farm, and then an angry man comes at you and slaps you with some axes. Like, I just want to get some farm. Just let me hit some minions.
I know, right? And ultimately, while fighting again.
Yeah, they're returning the favor. Doyon coming in huge, but the shields are so strong. Ultimate now going to come from Stormblast, actually going to secure that kill, but they might be able to turn things around. Balloon21 now the target of choice, but the rest of the team has arrived. Curse of the Sad Mummy will secure the kill. Flash forward from Street Smurf trying to get onto Reen, but it's not going to be enough. There we go. Friendly Voidling now in the back. Sundubu gonna have to flash the wall. I like that movement. Trying to get out of here. Street Smurf will be able to secure this kill with this flash. And Blackpink Trash has arrived back. This fight took long enough. Street Smurf now completely caught. Warplaque left their friend, took the Hextech Gate out, and ultimately it's an absolute bloodbath.
That was so well played by Blackpink Trash. I mean, ultimately, most AD carries try and take the team onto their back. They go in too early, and he was so patient in that fight. He didn't go in. He watched teammates die. He took his time, and then he struck at the right moment, got 2 kills, including a big shutdown. That's exactly what Fat Pikachu needs in order to start scaling this Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly, they pick up the Hextech Drake and slow down the Drakes from scaling Copium. Because if you're on scaling Copium's side, what you would like to do is you would like to just stack dragons and have that be your answer to the Kog'Maw Lulu scaling, right? At least we're going to be equal power because we have Ocean Soul. However, by delaying that by another 6 minutes, you've now put scaling Copium back into a somewhat precarious position where they need to be on the initiative. They need to do things in order to stop, the eventual snowball from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. With the new reworks on MF and the additional crit, she's looking and doing the typical crit build here. She's not, she is an MF, he is in the player. Thugsmoke is not that far off of getting that eye edge going. So pretty much reaching about their peak of power here pretty soon. And with Dragon coming up and, well, we got a fight going on the bot lane.
Yeah, Friendly Voidling thinks they can take this one, but multiple members of FP reveal themselves on the bottom side, which means scaling Copium all eyes on this Baron. Now the question is, can Fat Pikachu make it here in time?
Yeah, I really don't have a feel for it. It looks like they're coming pretty quick. They're taking this really slow. I think that
This
they
is
are not
really
going to get it in
scary.
time.
Two huge AoE ultimates on the side of Fat Pikachu. Will they land? Warplaque goes down. Zanya's for Doyon. Sundubu actually gets obliterated before the ultimate goes through. Smite picked up the steal from Doyon, and it's a huge win for Fat Pikachu as they turn things around. They arrive just in time to stop the play, and now Street Smurf on the run, but smartly, Blackpink Trash and Rini just choosing to let that one go.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. It was a one-man Amumu ult and a one-man Misfortune ult, and ultimately it was Zhonya's for most of it. So that was it was not the fight that they wanted to take. It was a risky choice to or play to take that as well. I'm just wondering if they're feeling this pressure to advance themselves and close out the game early because they recognize that the other team is scaling.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough in this position because you know that you need to keep the tempo, you need to keep the momentum on your side, but if you rush into plays too quickly, if you end up finding yourselves trapped in a dragon pit against, two massive magic damage users, it becomes really tough. Now, Stormbless, perhaps in a bit of trouble. Warplaque gonna waddle on over here. Binding not gonna land. Ooh, smart ultimate actually yeets himself away. So no problems there. However, this does free up the mid lane for a bit of a Baron push.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm expecting them to easily take this turret. Um, but yeah, that was a very smart play. Got into the bush, hid from vision clearly because it was unable to get the interrupt. Warlock was unable to get the interrupt to stop him from ulting away. So that was a very smart play to get out of there, not really lose anything. And it looks like as a team, they didn't want to really push that. I don't know that they had the vision to watch the rotation and be able to move safely out of there should red team collapse on them. So not much happening despite a lot of things happening.
Yeah. Definitely, I think that Fat Pikachu would have been happier with a more powerful Baron play, but you can tell their eyes are on this dragon because they're recalling extremely early, making sure that they get out onto the map very quickly, using that empowered recall, because they know that if they can stop this dragon attack, they win the game on the spot, and they're going to do everything in their power to make that happen. 3-item completion for Blackpink Trash. This is where Kog'Maw starts to get really, really scary.
Yeah, at the same time, we do get the eye edge on Misfortune, so she's not she is something to be scared of as well. I apologize, I'm mixing up my words, but it's really dependent on getting the right Amumu ult, and there it is. On
Solo
one
ultimate
person.
onto Doyon, gonna pop the Zanyas once again. Bullet Time will secure the kill, but a lot of ultimates popped. Huge ultimate from Sundubu, manages to chunk 2 down quite low. But at the end of the day, it's a 1-for-0 trade, and the dragon is still on the table.
Yeah, and it was their jungler, which really hurts in terms of the objective, but I think the teams can fight.
Has the Shirelli as they're moving forward. Renee taken very low. So much damage coming out. Street Smurf manages to get the first blood, but they turn things around. As long as this Kog'Maw is alive, it's so scary. It's so difficult to push in. Multiple low HP bars. The flash forward. Will it be enough? No one's blocking it. A double kill for Street Smurf. Absolutely incredible play on the Zoe.
Oh, you said as long as Cog is alive, they have a chance here, and unfortunately he gets tagged by it. Lulu's afraid to get in front of it, but then ends up getting hit by it anyway, so they both die for it. That was so unfortunate on the side of Fat Pikachu.
Yeah, and that is going to be Dragon number 3, a huge reward, well earned by the Zoe player. Street Smurf putting on an absolute masterclass this game. We talked about the difficulty of that character is when people are running into you, it's quite bad. But when you're running to them, oh my goodness, can Zoe do a ton of damage with that paddle star, as we just saw.
And that's the one thing with these two comps. We keep talking about the scaling.
Oh yeah. Maybe in a bit of trouble. Ultimate gonna land. But yeah, no.
Oh.
Just dead. Carry on.
Uh, and it's okay. There's no objectives on the, jungle objectives on the map right now. So that's an okay death for a jungler to take, right? Um, I see utility monster do it all the time, so I'm sure that that is totally fine thing to do. But what I was saying is, despite the scaling on the side of the Kog'Maw team, Zoe will always be scary. So he can always get one shot by that Zoe.
Yeah, Warplaque once again going for the solo ultimate. Curse the Sad Bullet Time completely blocked by the Pantheon means that Fat Pikachu, manages to live to save another day, and not the exchange that you were hoping to get with your man advantage.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. That's I'm understanding now a little bit more why the Pantheon was prioritized in here. A very strong pick in those team fights against the Misfortune, being able to block so much of her ult with his E.
Yeah, and threaten Misfortune, right? If you look at the opposing team, Scaling Copium doesn't really have ways to like get Pantheon off of Misfortune, right? Presumably, you're going to use that Amumu to go in. You're going to use that Ivern to sort of help go in, and then once that's down, Stormblaze just has full range, just full stun and kill Thug Smoke. So, yeah, definitely a strong character for this particular game, and I'm excited that they got to play it.
Yeah, it makes me. I need to start talking to my top laner because with Misfortune being prioritized in so many of these FOF matches, I need to make sure he starts getting some games in and start practicing it. Because if other teams start trying to do this as well, I think it's could define matchmaking in the future.
Yeah. We see both teams sort of hovering around the river. Now, it does look like Scaling Copium have, the advantage in terms of the pathway to Baron, right? They've got the inside push, but they don't have the ward coverage just yet. And it's a bit scary to face check all these bushes. So they're going to be very careful and cautious. I feel like they've learned their lesson of like walking in stacked together, so they need to be really careful. Meanwhile, Fat Pikachu, again, they're somewhat happy to sit and wait because they have that scaling advantage. But at the same time, if they let their opponents get too many of these objectives, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier that the bot lane for Copium has these higher ranked players in their bot lane. And I think part of the difference you see here, besides the pressure that they've put on the Kog'Maw, Misfortune has 342 farm at this point in time. They have put so much CS into him, and that's I think the true skill of an AD carry is becoming a champion as quickly as possible.
Yeah, missing pings coming out for the side of Fat Pikachu. They suspect that something is happening, but they have no vision, and it's going to be a Baron secured. Ultimate now coming through from Stormblaze. They managed to catch, they keep the fight going! Warplaque now in the middle of a huge people, going to be taken very low, but Zoe from downtown evens things up. Mr. Thug Smoke going to trade things back, and at the end of the day, it's 1 versus 2 remaining. Street Smurf, though, extremely scary, has that flash available, and I think that both teams are just going to live to see another day.
Yeah, ultimately Doyon needs to recall pretty quickly here and start pressuring Vision around that dragon. We've got the potential Soul coming up here in about 35 seconds, and Ivern's going to be up in about 10 seconds. So they'll be getting there, but they'll be getting there a little bit later. So with such a critical objective on the map for the side of Scaling Copium, we'll have to see here if Doyon can get there and pressure and get the vision quickly enough.
Yeah, we do have Hextech Soul and Hextech Gates, so these teams are actually able to both make it to this objective fairly quickly. But again, Street Smurf has the advantage. They're there first, and a 12-1 Zoe is not something that you want to be sieging against.
No, absolutely not. Nor the Misfortune and...
Stun gonna live. That's so scary.
I don't know the E cooldown on Pantheon, but that's actually a really strong... as we were talking about earlier, the really strong cooldown to get out of the way with Misfortune's ult coming up right now, as well as Amumu.
Yeah, and you can see Fat Pikachu trying to figure out their plan of attack. How do they want to make it into this objective? Lots of damage coming through, but not ultimately going to land the Paddle Star. I think Street Smurf was hoping for a better target, as the dragon is going to get started out and completely burst it down to 5k very quickly. They're just going to go for it. Bullet time expended as well, and that is sold over to Scaling Copium.
Yeah, that was actually a very smart play. Using the damage of the bullet time instead of fighting it, they knew that the other team wasn't in position to get in there super fast and able to burn it because that does a lot of damage to Dragon.
Yeah, it almost feels like Fat Pikachu needs to like do some exercises and maybe get a little bit thinner, just because they feel like they're just slightly slow on the play today. At both the Baron and at the Dragon, they had opportunities to take massive wins with their team fighting composition, but they're not quite in position to stop what Scaling Copium wants to do.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, it's hard to go into that team though. They needed to get the position in the river first, and we had Diana going in and pushing the mid wave instead of going and getting a presence in that river. And so the entire team as a whole, I don't think that they all took gates. I think a couple of them actually just walked all the way in. So they were slow to get in there to the river, and it's a scary team. Copium is a scary team to walk into.
Yeah, that being said, Street Smurf is as strong as they will ever be on the Zoe. Final item, a Magi is completed. So this is the period of the game at about 60k, gold between both teams where those like gold leads start to matter less and less because most characters have completed their items. So despite Hextech Soul being on the side of Scaling Copium, I still believe that this could be anyone's game, and one clean team fight win will shake things up massively.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the team fights are going to become easier and easier for Fat Pikachu. Just in terms of this Kog'Maw getting pretty tanky at this point in time. He has now completed the Frostfire Gauntlet, and he's going to be a lot harder to just blow up by Street Smurf. And the longer that Kog'Maw is alive, the better chance they have of winning that team fight.
I love this adaptation that's been going on, like, throughout the recent seasons of seeing hyper carries like start to build tank items because they recognize that they have enough damage, particularly against Scaling Copium's team, where their only true tank is Warplaque, and he's sitting on a Zanya's Hourglass, right? Full full tank, like, huge armor or anything like that. So just recognizing that, hey, all I need to do is I need to live and I need to right click people. And Blackpink has properly itemized to do that. Now it does look like Scaling Copium gonna set up a siege here. Street Smurf so far unlikely to land anything, but it's looking scarier and scarier. Oh my goodness, half HP right away, and the bubble will land. Nothing else.
Yeah, was that a okay. I couldn't see for a second whether or not an hourglass had been used, or not hourglass, but the stopwatch had been used by Kog'Maw, but he doesn't even have a stopwatch. So anyway, the siege can be scary though, because again, we're against a Pantheon. So even if you think you're safely sieging here, Pantheon can always ult behind you, and all of a sudden you're in a chaotic fight. Which direction do you fight when ultimately you want to fight one direction as the Scaling Copium team comp?
Yeah, I definitely think that Fat Pikachu need to pull a trigger here sooner rather than later. We've got Elder spawning in about 2 minutes, and we would hate to see that be the place where this game is decided.
Oh no.
Yeah, is going to be able to block up this damage. Again, Pantheon E, incredibly good against this team. So it's going to be alright, but they need to do something as Scaling Copium is onto the Baron once again.
And there is a stopwatch on the side of Pantheon, so even if he ults in to start a fight, he can immediately stopwatch. And so it can be a bit of a bluff on the engage, and so they can turn their focus to him, and he can immediately stopwatch while the rest of the team starts to catch up and hit them.
Yeah, and it does look like This is interesting. They're considering keeping their tempo on the map. I think that they are going to ultimately reset. So don't wanna over push their luck here. I was like, are they gonna stick around for the entirety of Elder? But no. Both teams gonna take a bit of a breather, have a moment to reset, and now once again my eyes are still on Fat Pikachu. They have to do something to get out of this vice grip in order to secure an advantage.
Yeah, it's really surprising. There's pretty much no gold lead at this point, but because of the dragons and how much they're worth these days, obviously the advantage is on Copium, but it's not that much. And so I think Copium's actually playing a little bit careful here too. They could have pushed that siege a lot harder than they did, and they recognize that they are not as far ahead as it may seem just based off of the dragons and the map pressure with the number of towers they have taken.
Sundubu needs to join the team here all the way up. Just got the Scuttle Crab, but Elder spawning in 20 seconds will have to make their way across the map. And once again, Street Smurf has the inside edge. He's already here with pink wards. It's just going to be incredibly difficult for Fat Pikachu to make a move.
Yeah, they have to fight this, but it takes a while.
Man,
It takes a
every
while to
every
take
time I
Elder.
see a stun land, like my heart just jumps right up. I don't know if you feel the same way, Bill, but like it is so scary.
I know
Uh,
every single time I'm expecting him to get 100 to 0, and I shut up immediately because I know the action is about to start, and then they just disengage.
Yeah, so using the wide angle here to try and walk in. Here comes the final fight. This could be decisive. Street Smurf one-shots Doyon to kick things off. That's absolutely huge. Unable to use those abilities, and that is going to be it. In one decisive battle, almost assuredly with the Baron buff, they're going to be able to walk this one in. Scaling Copium, now still chasing down Blackpink Trash. There goes the E. Street Smurf is unstoppable this game.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think Blackpink Trash even got a single auto attack, or maybe he got one and then he canceled the second one in that engage there. I mean, ultimately it was just Diana was dead before anything even happened, and wow, good job on Street Smurf's side of things. He played that so well.
Yeah, what an incredible performance from Scaling Copium. They will improve their record to 2-1, putting themselves up in the top half of the league for sure. And yeah, I mean, what a performance from Street Smurf. This Zoe has got to be looked at. You have to come in, moving forward into the later games of the season. You have to come in with a plan against Street Smurf Zoe, because that looked disgusting.
And I want to give props to Fat Pikachu, though. Despite going 0-3 at the beginning of the season, that's a tough spot to be in, but they fought tooth and nail this entire game and looked really good, and ultimately just really struggled against that Zoe and trying to walk into those fights. But really good props to them for staying in there the whole game.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our first game. Stick around for an interview, and then we'll have more Friend or Foe. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth here for our first interview tonight here in Mythic, and it is Street Smurf joining me of Scaling Copium. Congrats and welcome. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good actually. Yeah, I think the team played really good today.
Yeah, let's dive right into the game. So, of course, we start here with the draft, which was interesting on all sides. You folks opted into the early Ivern Prio, the Green Father coming through. The other side, they had Lulu Kog'Maw in the bot side, which is always spice when it comes in, because it's a very straightforward addition to a composition, and like everyone knows exactly what Kog'Maw Lulu is about. And then on the other side, though, on the top side, they had Pantheon Diana, which is this crazy amount of all in and engage to sort of give this sort of midline, front line for Kog'Maw to start to unload. And then you folks had opted with the Olaf, and then for you, it was the artillery of the Zoe coming through. So talk to me, if you would, a little bit about all of these draft decisions you folks had to make.
So I think for the draft we pretty much went for like how we wanted to play against their team comp, specifically. So I would say like in general it's mostly us countering them. It's that basic, actually.
Yeah, classic red side angle. Just counter pick them, just counter strat them. Yeah. So well, let's talk about the game itself. You, as I mentioned a moment ago, were on the Zoe, and this lane matchup against Orianna, this matchup against Sandubu. What were your feelings on how things progressed? I know we did see that spicy solo kill there in the mid lane.
For the laning phase, I think that like neither of us played better than one another, but I think like sometimes I saw opportunities and like it went good for me, so which is the reason why I had solo kills. But then like in general, I don't think I played as the laning phase really good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I don't think I played really good in the laning phase. I think it went good like when we went into the team fights. So yeah, that's what I think.
Looking at the stats here in the post game lobby, you had nearly 37,000 damage done in this game, and on the other side, I mean it's apples and not apples and oranges per se here, but Sandubu on the shielding control mage of Orianna had less than half that with the 15,000, and overall their damage output on the other side, even when you take into account the Pantheon and Diana, which are damage dealers, they were also relatively low as well. So, I mean, you're just popping them, bro. It was just wild seeing it. Let's talk a little bit about the nature of this game. The tempo of it was that for a period of time there, it did actually sort of ebb back in the favor of Fat Pikachu there for a bit there. What was your folks' feelings in the game as you felt this change?
I think at some point we did a mistake, like where 3 or 4 of us died, like randomly. And at this point, we knew we were gonna win the game, but like we had to take it slowly, but surely, like getting the objectives. So then in the late game, we would like just shit on them, right? So yeah, that I think we could have like ended the game earlier, but like it would have been like a mistake if to try like to just force the game to like end it early. So we just went like a little bit slower and we got what we wanted, and yeah, the game just ended up how we wanted it to be.
Right on. Well, Street Smurf, thank you so much for the interview. Before we step away, though, your last opportunity here on the desk. Any final thoughts, any shoutouts, any banter to leave with us?
Okay, so actually, no. I think I'm just gonna shit on every mid laner in this league, so yeah, I'm waiting for you.
All right, well, folks, that's it for us for this interview. We still got 3 more games coming up, and we'll be back very soon with our second game of the night. So don't go too far. We'll be back very soon.